Welcome back, everybody, to an exciting episode of Big Apple Hockey because we don't have one conference series to review. We got two of them to go with right now. Can't wait to get this started because there is a lot we're going to be talking about. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams, and we are going to be talking about who is going to the Stanley Cup today. I mean, that's got to be like one of the most exciting moments of the year whenever we get to talk about it. And of course, the host of the Final Buzzer, I'm Mr. John Folkowski.
We already got layup talk comments here. Just waiting for it. Just waiting for it. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I always say the first round excites me so much because just so many different games on. It's like a kid walking into a candy store or a dog chasing its own tail or a bunch of cars or something. But I mean, this is pretty exciting too. Both teams have tough tasks ahead of them. The Edmonton Oilers are going up against, for maybe my money, the team that's playing the best hockey right now of any team out there in the Dallas Stars. So, but yeah, the Edmonton Oilers got one, and then the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers. I mean, we could call that the Beastern Conference Finals because it's just two absolute gigantic forces going up against one another, and it's going to be a bloodbath. So that'll be a hell of a series.
And of course, I don't know how to follow that, but the man who the sun never stops shining on, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yeah, conference finals starting up, coaching carousel in full swing. Even a decent sized trade yesterday with Ryan McDonough going back to the Lightning. A lot of stuff going on. So let's get to it.
Yeah. And you know what? There's going to be a lot. Oops, I did not get back out of there. There we go. There's going to be a lot of trades, I mean, that are already kind of in motion right now. I mean, that was a little bit surprising about the Ryan McDonough trade happening and so soon, and that Stamkos is excited about it. We're going to get more into that first, but we have the A block right now, everybody, where it's going to be about the New York Rangers and the Florida Panthers starting tonight. Make sure you hit that like button, everybody, right now. But don't forget, Big Apple Hockey trucker hats are available, and also the shirts that I'm wearing again, finally. And the A block is powered by Seat Geek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey. The Rangers versus the Panthers, game one tonight, 8 o'clock, Madison Square Garden. Let's go with the series overview to you, Mr. John Folkowski.
President's Trophy winner and a team that's widely considered to be probably a top 2-3 team in the East. I hate bringing up these 94 parallels, but it almost feels like Rangers Devils all over again from 94, how these two teams just match up so well against each other. And Florida is just a big physical team. They have speed. I don't know if their speed is as great as Carolina's is, but they play a very fast, up-tempo, in-your-face type game. I think they're probably the nastiest team of all the teams that entered the playoffs. So that's going to be a test for the Rangers as well. This team says that they're not here to get pushed around. We will see what happens with this team, and we will see their resiliency and their gut check. It's going to be a real litmus test for them because now you have one of the top, I guess, 10 to 15 centers in the league, and Alexander Barkov, who just won another Selke trophy. Go figure. Just won another.
Yeah, he's okay. Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of good. I mean, Carter Verhaeghe, Sam Reinhart was a 50-plus goal scorer this year. Aaron Ekblad. There's no shortage of top-end talent on the team. And the Rangers, they may have an advantage in goal, but you got to wonder how I saw that too. Someone is very disappointed. Big Apple Hockey only fans is not right now.
There's still an hour to go. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, things could happen. If Anthony goes black for a little bit and then he comes back and he's in the hot tub, don't be surprised. But it's the thing is that this is going to be a battle of transition. These two teams both play a very good transitional game. The Rangers have to make sure that they're in their 1-3-1 against Florida. Florida will do everything that they can to disrupt that. And one thing that Carolina made, you saw the first, I would say 2-3 games, Carolina had trouble getting behind the Rangers defense. And then they started dumping pucks in and getting behind them. And a good portion of the Rangers defense is not good at puck retrieval and then moving the puck quickly. The Rangers are going to have to do that. And not only that, but they're going to have to probably take a lot of hits. Their defense is going to be tested because they're going to be taking a lot of hits moving that puck out of that zone because that Florida forecheck comes in fast. And they hit hard. So the key really is clean retrievals, quick exits, and good transitional play. If the Rangers can get in the zone and keep Florida in their zone for a little bit and really work their defense, I don't think Florida's defense is all that great on paper. I don't think the unit itself is really all that great. I mean, Ekblad's a stud. He's going to log, 25-plus minutes a game. You know that. Forsling's become a very good defenseman. Montour's a great puck mover. But after that, what really do they have? I honestly do think the Rangers have the better unit on paper. It's a matter of what are you going to get? Is Adam Fox going to be a little closer to 100% after this rest? Is Jacob Trouba going to benefit a little more from maybe a slightly slower paced game against Florida? Again, not discounting their speed. They're a very fast team. But I don't think they're as fast overall as Carolina. I think they're more physical than Carolina is, though. That's for sure. Ekblad, you got to worry about a guy like that taking shots from the point. Montour, they're quick. The other thing I would say is that Sergei Bobrovsky is probably not going to let in the cheapies that Freddie Anderson and I can't even say Charlie Lindgren let in a bunch of cheapies because the Rangers just swarmed him. But Freddie Anderson let in a bunch of cheapies in that series. They're going to really have to work to beat him. And Bobrovsky, I know the numbers don't support it, but he is somebody that could get hot and absolutely steal a game and possibly even a series. So this is going to be a battle of top-tier Russian goaltenders as well. Florida, their keys to winning are going to be, again, to get that puck behind the Rangers defense. They're going to want to get the pucks in deep and make sure that they are on top of the Rangers defense and force them into coughing up the puck because they are susceptible to it. Guys like Trouba, guys like Gustafsson made many bad turnovers in that Carolina series once Carolina really made their adjustment and changed their game plan up. The other thing is Florida, unlike Carolina, they will not pass up high danger lanes to high danger chances. If you've watched different footages elsewhere, like I've watched Daily Faceoff, and John Goyens, who is Cape Breton, Screaming Eagles head coach in the Q, he kind of broke down some of the film on there. And he actually made some great points. Carolina, throughout many times in that series, they passed up a lot of high danger lanes to settle for lower danger chances. And Florida doesn't do that. Their modus operandi is to find the soft areas, and they'll cycle and cycle and cycle until they find that opening, that soft spot, and they get somebody like Verhaeghe or Reinhardt or even Barkov, that slot shot, and that's where they score a lot of their goals. Like if you look at Sam Reinhardt's shot charts, the vast majority of them are likely in that area, and that's why his shooting percentage is so high this year. So I got to say this. If the Rangers can keep the net front clear, they can definitely win this series. But if Florida really gets their forecheck and their cycle game going, the Rangers may be in for it.
Anthony Filk brought his monologues today. Wow. I think he's definitely got about 8.5 minutes of the 9 that we've been on so far. Well done, Mr. Filkowski. So, Anthony, let's go to the X Factors. What is your X Factor for the series?
I mean, for me, all eyes are on Barkov, Kachuk, but I think Carter Verhaeghe is a guy that, is really an unsung hero for Florida. He's established himself as a legitimate goal scorer after kind of being thrown away by Toronto, the Islanders, and the Lightning. He found a home in Florida. Phil had mentioned Reinhardt. He was kind of deadly in that bumper spot where he shoots a lot of his pucks from. Verhaeghe's similar. He's got a good release. He's got a great wrist shot. He could beat goalies clean with it. And, if Verhaeghe can kind of really get going and power the Panthers here, to kind of help out Barkov and Kachuk. Because I think, a lot of those guys are going to try to be blanketed by the Rangers' better defensive forwards. Verhaeghe could get loose and get some good looks. So Carter Verhaeghe is a very good player. You could say in terms of pure goal scoring, he might be one of the better Panthers there, even though Reinhart had 57 goals. But I think Carter Verhaeghe is very good, and I think if you let him get lost in open space, he can hurt you.
Yeah, Verhaeghe is definitely somebody that I've gushed about the last 2-3 years, ever since he really found a home in Florida. He's become like Mr. Overtime, Mr. Game Winners for them. He's all over the place. Sticking with the Panthers, I'll go with Sam Bennett in the physical play. The Panthers have 8 players that have more checks than the third-ranked player, who I will mention on the New York Rangers in a few minutes. However, they are just, and they'll go right to the front of the net. They will make life miserable for Igor Shesterkin. Is Igor up for the task? Well, Carolina tried to do it, and Carolina tried to run him in game 2. So that's another thing. For the New York Rangers, specialty teams. It has to be specialty teams. This isn't as much of a 5-on-5 series as the Carolina one was, because you figured it was going to be a wash. Oh, hey, Johnny, how's it going?
Funny, we just mentioned Daily Face-Off, too.
Yeah. So, but with specialty teams, this is where the Rangers need to shine. They took the number 2 PK and really whipped them in the last round. Then you have Florida, which kind of struggled against the very vaunted number 1 power play unit in Tampa Bay. Now, against the 14th ranked unit in the Bruins, they kind of brought it back. So the Rangers got to take them and just make sure that they can not feel comfortable taking penalties, which Florida has taken the second most amount in the NHL this year, behind the Anaheim Ducks. Philk, who is your under-the-radar player? So Philk, your X Factor. Who's your X Factor?
Well, you took mine for Florida. I was going to say Bennett. Bennett is somebody that could cause a lot of problems for the Rangers. He could be that Tom Wilson type where he can get into their heads, and you know what he did to Brad Marchand and Matthew Knies last year. Tell you right now, Bennett is somebody that they're going to be looking out for. And you got to wonder, at what point does Matt Rempe come in if that starts to happen? So, he could change a lot of things in this series for Florida. Obviously, it's easy to point to Barkov, but I'm going to have to say Bennett, because I feel like just by adding his element, he could really mess with the Rangers. For the Rangers,
By the way, Philk, when he gets into people's heads, is it with the glove that he tries to get in their heads, sort of like they did with Brad Marchand?
Yeah, I don't like that play at all. I really don't. I'm surprised that there was no suspension for it. He did the same thing to Matthew Knies, last postseason. So there's a history of it. For the Rangers, I got to throw out Phil Peedle. I know it's kind of funny because he's only played 1 game, but I really feel that if he comes in and he can add the offense on that third line, he could give the Rangers a third scoring line that'll give Florida fits. And that line with him, Wenberg, and Kakko could actually end up being a real good defensive line too. So Filipino can come in and help out. That's big for the New York Rangers, because the New York Rangers are going to need depth scoring in this series and going forward. Usually in the last 2 rounds is when you see the depth come out and really start to help your team's wins. Because sometimes, depending on your matchup in the first couple of rounds, you could get by with, your big guys just having big series and carrying the teams, as it did for the Rangers against Washington. But I want to see what Hedl does. I think he's going to be an X factor for the Rangers.
Anthony, right to you. Who is your under-the-radar players that you're looking at?
Brian Skrudlin, Mike Huff, Branislav Mesny, Rostislav Olesh. Probably those guys for Florida.
Or first rounder.
No, under the radar type player. For the Rangers, I would say Will Cooley. He's a big body that could bang. Obviously, has a knack for scoring. And I think a guy like him, if he could use his size and throw his weight around, that could be a big help for the Rangers. for Florida, I'll say old friend Vladimir Tarasenko. With the cast of players that Florida has, he kind of gets often looked because, and rightfully so. You got Kachuk, Barkov, or Hagee, Reinhart. They're fantastic players, but they picked up Tarasenko at the deadline. He's fitting well for him. He's still a very solid hockey player. And I think, playing his old team, he may have some extra little juice in his step there trying to, get by the Rangers and go to the conference finals. So I'll go with those two guys for the respective teams.
It's funny, by the way, Anthony, that you mentioned Brian Skrudlin, because Brian Skrudlin played for 3 of the 4 teams in the conference finals.
The Rangers, the Stars, and the Panthers, and he won with the Stars in '99.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Phil, who's your under the radar guys?
For Florida, I'm going to say Evan Rodriguez, because he just seems to be a total thorn in the Rangers' side every time they play. Even in Pittsburgh and Buffalo, too, he was a thorn in their side. Every time I watch this guy against the Rangers, he's always causing problems. Just not doing anything dirty or anything egregious or anything like that. But he's just a high-energy player that can add some offense, and he seems to chip in some good goals here and there. I mean, it's crazy how he became a guy that was brought in kind of like a favor to Jack Eichel because they played together at Boston University. He turned himself into a good NHL player. So he's become a real good player. I think he's going to be a problem in this series. Somebody that he'll chip in here and there. But, I mean, yeah, I like Anton Lundell. That's actually a very good pick. Good two-way, good young two-way forward. Still has some offense to give, I think. But Rodriguez is just one of those guys that, I think come playoff time, he's just somebody you want to have in the trenches with you. For the Rangers, under the radar, I may be doing just kind of like a blind dart throw here. And I hope he ends up finally really coming through. Kaapo Kakko. I want to see him. I want to see him score a little bit. I want to see him assert himself. And the reason I say him is because every time Philip Hedl comes back into the lineup and they play together, Philip Hedl seems to get the best out of Kaapo Kakko from what I'm watching. So for me, I do think that Hedl could be a key to unlocking. Yeah, we name the whole roster someone not dangerous. Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Chris G.
Even Lusterainen had 12.
Yeah, Lusterainen's another one. He's a pain in the neck to play against. Yeah. What players on Florida are not pain in the necks to play against?
All of them.
All of them. And that's why I have a lot of respect for this team. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Kaapo Kakko because I do think that if Hedl comes through, I think that third line can juice up a bit offensively, and I think you can get more out of Kaapo Kakko that way.
I just have to laugh because I sit down, I go through my entire series preview, got all my notes down, everything's all good. Yeah, and Nico Mikkola, but
yeah,
I go through all of it. Anthony mentions my guy, Will Cooley, third on the Rangers in hits. He needs to be physical. So thanks on that, Ant. And then we get Rick's comment, is my Florida guy. There's Anton Lundell. I don't have to say anything. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to everybody. But a quick shout out because I think Brandon Montour has really found a home there. And man, is he just he's putting up the numbers that if you're a Ranger fan, you wish Adam Fox is putting up. Adam Fox, 4 points so far in the playoffs. You got to get better out of him. And as a matter of fact, Jacob Trouba's got the same amount of points, and Eric Gustafson's got one less. So, guys, here are the DraftKings odds, and it's prediction time. Mr. LaRocco, I'm going to start with you.
Well, so the panel on the fourth period, we had to make our picks once again. I'll stick with the same prediction I gave them, which was Rangers in 7. I think that this series, unlike the West, which we'll get to, I think this really is a toss-up. I could see it going either way, but a part of me just feels like it's almost like destiny for the Rangers. I don't. That's just the kind of like the gut that I have there. But that's not to say the Panthers can't win the series. We just basically named the whole roster. They're really hard to play against. They're all skilled. I mean, even Kyle Oposo is at the end of his career. Yeah, he's a fourth liner, but that's a guy that has skill. So they're very hard to play against. They're not going to be an easy out, and the Panthers could very well win the series. But right now, my gut is just saying Rangers. And then when it comes down to it, I look at the goaltending, Shesterkin, Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky's been, really good, but at the end of the day, in a must-win situation like Game 7, I would take Igor over Bobrovsky as kind of like the definitive factor there. So, Rangers in 7.
I love Evan's comment here. I thought that was funny. And then Matt's comment about Anthony picking the Rangers, making him smile. But I'm with Anth. I said before this series even started, right away when I knew it was the Panthers, 7. This is a no doubt 7. I mean, Anthony said it perfectly. It's a toss-up. It's literally a toss-up. I mean, I know about the betting lines in Vegas and everything like that and how they don't favor the Rangers. That's fine. The Rangers have been underdogs. But you know what? I will say this. This is going to be probably the biggest bloodbath of any series this postseason. This is going to be the one. This is going to be an all-out war. So whatever side you're a fan of, get ready for a pretty epic series, if you will, because this is going to be a big one. The other series, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think
we'll get all of that in a second. Guys, when I originally sat down to do this, I looked at it and I thought the Panthers' physical play was going to decide everything. Thank you, Johnny. I thought the Panthers' physical play was going to decide everything, and then I looked down. Every time I looked at a new stat, there was another stat to make me go, wait, this is going to happen. No, wait, this is going to happen. There is going to be absolutely no trends that are going to be able to present themselves. If the Panthers make it back, they're the first Stanley Cup final loser in 15 years to make it back to a Stanley Cup final. If the Rangers make it, it's the first President Trophy winner to make it back to a Stanley Cup final in that's 11 years. So I am going to go Rangers in 7. It really is either way, guys. You could have told me Florida too, because if you want to tell me it's going to be Igor Shesterkin, that's exactly why I picked him in against Carolina. But Bobrovsky nearly negates that.
Yeah.
And you look at Lindell, who could shut down your top line. Wenberg's played great defense, so they almost cancel each other out. Barkov is fantastic, but so is Trocheck. He's been amazing. Trocheck. So it might come down literally to whatever matchup the Zibanejad line is, probably against the Tkachuk line. Oh boy, we're in for a nasty series, guys. Yeah. And I do think only because of intangibles, I'll put the Rangers there. But even that, Florida has them from last year too. So it's driving me a little bit crazy. Guys, make sure
we got somebody that wants bar talk real soon.
All right. Well, your call, Anthony. You got. Well, we'll get the bar talk really quick. We're gonna get to do the Western Conference Finals now.
Yeah.
Well, let's get the Western Conference Finals. Dallas versus the Edmonton Oilers. Mr. LaRocco, set the tone for us.
I mean, this series right here, I still think it's going to be a good one, but with the East series we just were talking about, it was kind of like up in the air. I mean, this one I'll say with full confidence, I think the Dallas Stars are going to win the series. No knock on the Oilers. I mean, they arguably have two of the best players in the world in McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Zach Hyman had a fantastic year. Bouchard and the Bouch bombs from the point, he's been really impressive. But for me, when you look up and down the Dallas Stars roster, they're just so deep. I mean, I referenced it before in our broadcast. I think they had 8 guys with 20 goals or more. 2 of them had 30 or more. I mean, Robertson, Hintz, Marchment, Duchesne, Wyatt Johnson, Sagan, Ben. It just goes on and on with how much depth they have. And then not only that, but Jake Ottinger has been getting back to he's been finding his game. Their defense led by Miro Heiskanen, Thomas Harley, Lindell, Chris Tanev was a fantastic pickup for them on the back end. I just think they're way too deep. I think they're more of a faster team overall. Yes, we all know how fast McDavid plays with pace, but I think overall the Stars are a quicker team. They have more depth. I take Ottinger over Skinner in goal every day, twice on Sundays.
Yeah,
Um,
oh, yeah.
and I like their defense overall too, much more than the Oilers. I mean, Ekholm's really good. I mentioned Bouchard; he's great offensively. Defensively, he's not terrible, but he's not like a shutdown guy. And then with Cody Ceci, like the Oilers, I think the Stars are a much deeper team. They have more in the areas that count when it comes to intangibles, and overall the clincher is I just think that depth and that scoring ability throughout up and down their lineup is just going to be too much for the Oilers to handle here.
Phil, what is your X factors in this series?
Oof. I'm going to go for Dallas, Wyatt Johnston. I've just been on this kid's train for a while. He was Will Cooley's center in the OHL with the Windsor Spitfires. He had a big year this year, 30 goals, 60-point season. I think when it's all said, and I've said this before on here, I think when it's all said and done, I think Wyatt Johnston will end up being this team's best player. Yes, better than Jason Robertson. So I think that from what I'm watching a young star developing, and not even just a young star, but a young superstar. I think he has elite potential. I think he's just that good of a player, and he's one of those guys where you see it in him, like you see the drive in him when he plays. When the spotlight and the stage gets big, he rises up to the occasion, and I think he's going to have an absolutely huge series. So I look out for him. For Edmonton, I don't want to go with McDavid or Draisaitl, but I mean, I'm going to have to go with McDavid because McDavid hasn't been McDavid this postseason. He was great in the first round against LA, but he really wasn't all that great against Colorado. Against Vancouver, sorry. JT Miller actually did a really good job on him. And I never thought I would say that myself, Mark. I know because you took that and you posted that on Instagram and you had fun with that one. But yeah, I never thought I would say that JT Miller would be doing a hell of a shutdown job on McDavid. So I know people are saying McDavid looks hurt. Yeah, but this is when you have to fight through it. If you're banged up, a lot of players are banged up. So I'm going to have to go with McDavid here.
Anthony, what are your X factors?
For the Oilers, I'm gonna say Stuart Skinner. I mean, I mentioned the depth in goal that Dallas had. The depth up and down their lineup that Dallas has when it comes to their scoring ability. If the Oilers want a shot at winning this series, he's gonna have to be good because he's gonna be facing many chances every single game. They play quick. I mean, all of them have speed. Duchesne, even though he's getting older, he's fast. Wyatt Johnson. Hintz is really fast. Robertson, they all play with speed. They're all really skilled offensively. He's going to have to deal with little Joe Pavelski in front of the net, trying to deflect pucks. So if the Oilers win this series, it's going to be because Stuart Skinner stood tall in goal. For the Stars, I was going to go Wyatt Johnson, but to be different, I'll say Jason Robertson. He, kind of. Last year he was phenomenal. This year he was good, but he took a little bit of a step back. I think, for the Stars, if he could really elevate his game to the way Wyatt Johnson has been playing, then the series could be over quick. If that's the case, that would be bad news for the Oilers. So for the Stars, I'll say Robertson.
I'm going to go with one person that's not on the ice and one person that's going to be on the ice. For starters, for the Dallas Stars, everything goes through Miro Heiskanen. I think Miro Heiskanen is probably the best defenseman left in the playoffs right now. And you can make an argument with everybody else that's left. He controls the game, and he's going to be probably – I want to say he's going to get McDavid a lot. I don't think so. I think they're going to put Tanev's unit on McDavid. And while the Stars' defense has been basically their top four and then whoever else is left, if they get back Yanni Hakanpää, this could be over really quick. So that's going to be for them. Let's go off the ice with the Edmonton Oilers, and that's Chris Knobloch. You're a rookie head coach for starters, and it seems like he might have gotten them to play good defense. Now, I have to say that with a caveat because they averaged 29 shots against versus the LA Kings in the first round. Then you have the Vancouver Canucks, who averaged 20 shots a game. They held them down. Great. Problem is the Vancouver Canucks did that in the first round too. Which one is it with Edmonton? We're going to soon find out, because if you can get Nurse, Ekholm, all these guys blocking shots and keeping it away, then you get Evan Bouchard that can use his bomb from the point in order to get them through to the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time. So, Anthony, let's go right back to you. Who is your under-the-radar player that no one's talking about?
For the Stars, I mean, name-wise, he's not an under-the-radar player, but I'm going to go with Jamie Benn. He's the veteran of the group. I think that, the younger players need to be able to lean on him during this series. And again, similar to what I said about Robertson before, if Ben can kind of elevate his game, it's just one more high-end player for the Oilers to have to deal with. And Ben's a guy that could play a gritty style too. He hasn't been a guy that's predicated his whole career on just finesse. He's a bigger body. He's not afraid to mix it up. He goes to the dirty areas. So for the Stars, if he gets going, that could be problematic for the Oilers. And for the Oilers, under the radar type player, and I'm going to go, again, a name-wise, not under the radar, but I'm going to go R&H, Nugent Hopkins. The Oilers, we all know that Draisaitl and McDavid are going to be the guys that the Stars are going to focus on trying to shut down. Is Nugent Hopkins, can he play the way he did when he had 100 points last season and really be a game changer in this series? If he can, then I think that series could be a little closer than what I think it's ultimately going to be. But if R&H can get going, that would really behoove the Oilers.
Phil, I'm going to jump on in because I don't want you stealing my guys before I could get them out. I'm going to go with two veterans too, Anthony. They're not silent in name only, but they have kind of underperformed in this playoff.
I have a feeling I know the evidence.
One is the guy that's had 9 goals last year, including a 4-goal game. Joe Pavelski, he's only got 1 this year. If he gets going, he could do it just on a deflection. Out of nowhere, that everybody goes, how the hell did he tip that puck? He is probably the best a puck tipper. I don't know which one to say of all time. Maybe people in Dallas, bartenders, you let me know. Is he also the best tipper there too? That would be great. But and the other guy I'm going to say is Evander Kane.
Damn you!
I had to step up. Evander Kane, because he's only got 4 goals and 5 assists, and he only had 2 goals versus Vancouver, a big one in Game 5, and then a huge one in Game 6. So let's see what you got, Phil. Now, don't worry, you can punch me later through the screen. I don't think Apple's got an emoji for that yet.
Oh no, that's a good pick. I'm gonna obviously start there with Edmonton, and I was gonna say Kane because Kane brings a big physical element that some of the other players on Edmonton lack. Like McDavid, he's not really a physical player. He could be dealing with something obviously right now, as people are alluding to. It's more than possible. Everybody's playing banged up for the most part. But Kane is a big-time physical presence that could score goals and has scored some key goals for them during his time in Edmonton. So that's why I was going to go with Kane. For Dallas, I'm going to go young gun again. Logan Stankoven.
Yeah, there's another one.
I mean, he's got 6 points in his first playoff run, 3 goals, 3 assists. I love what I'm seeing from this kid. He gives them offense. You could sprinkle him anywhere in the lineup. You could put him in a top 6 role. I think he'd look good. You could put him on the 4th line. He'd look good. And even, I mean, he's playing 3rd line right now. But, Dallas's 4th line of Steele, Foxa, and I'm missing somebody. I'm sorry.
Craig Smith.
I had it.
Yeah, Craig Smith. Yeah. Good call, Anthony. That's been a real good 4th line. But Stankoven, you could put him all over the lineup. And he can contribute. He can contribute on the power play if they decide to put him on there. you could just tell that this kid's a star in the making too. So, yeah, those are my two.
Yeah, I had him up there with the Robertson line. He's been playing a lot with them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no Rupe hints, possibly for the series. All right, guys. Here we go. Odds times. Stars obviously favored in the series. Predictions. John Filkowski, let's start with you. I was about to go to Anthony, and then I changed it up.
No Rupe hints is a big one. If they had Rupe hints in this lineup, I would have said Stars in 5, but I'm going to go Stars in 6.
All right. Anthony, what do you think?
That's exactly what I have too. Stars in 6. I just, like I said, I just think they're too deep. Discredit to the Oilers. They're a good team, but Stars are going to win this series.
I'm going to agree with what you said. No discredit to the Oilers. They made it here. I think they had the easiest road to the conference finals, with all due respect to them. And I can't get behind their goaltending and their defense right now. And Dallas is just so good. I got Dallas in 5, guys. If Jake Ottinger gets to 900 save percentage in a game, he is 8-1 in this playoffs.
Ooh,
Stuart Skinner. Yeah, Stuart Skinner, you better be lucky if you get to 900, because they are going to I forgot what I used on this as the last line of the article that I wrote. It was that they're going to pressure Stuart Skinner until they strike oil, which is a double joke because it's Texas and the Edmonton Oilers. All right, guys, so that is it for our predictions for this round. Can't wait to do some more bar talk and talk to you guys in a second. First, let's get a message from DraftKings. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever had to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. And welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk, or Layup Talk, as the Ranger Central guys are saying right now in the chat, where we're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice to drink. Are you so confident you're buying around? So have a beer, or, oh, dear God, give me a shot. Play along down in the comments below, everybody. And also, as of course,
you're never going to live that one.
No, guys, that was a New Year's resolution that I screwed up.
You will never, ever live that one down, man.
Oh, I'll never live down anything. I mean,
God.
that's what's funny. Anthony's like, oh, hey, we got a roast for Tom Brady, which, by the way, great question. Another time, Anthony, of hockey players you'd love to roast, but we'll save that for the off season.
Mark Williams.
Yeah.
Every week is a roast of Mark Williams. All right, guys, looking at the DraftKings odds to win the Stanley Cup. Florida plus 215, the Stars 260, the Oilers 280, and the Rangers plus 400. I usually will go to Philk first on this, but the gambler is down below. Anthony, are the Rangers being disrespected by
Nick? Sound like a degenerate.
Anthony, are the Rangers being disrespected?
I mean, I don't know if it's disrespected, but it is a little odd that the president's winning, team has the underdog out of the other three to win. Not sure what their calculations are, to be honest with you. So I don't know what they put into it making those, but it is a little puzzling. I would think they, what did you flash there, plus 400, Marc, to win the
Plus
cup?
400, Anthony.
I mean, at the very least, I don't see why they aren't like even with the Oilers or the Stars. 400 seems a little, but it is, I guess it kind of, is what it is there. But so yeah, I'm gonna say no. I'll say beer. I'll say beer.
Phil, what do you think?
Johnny's gone, but
Johnny.
thank you for tuning in, Johnny. We appreciate it.
Johnny, take it easy.
I'm gonna say beer. I mean, I don't know how exactly it's computed. I think it's just the money that's going into the team. I think that's what it is. I personally don't mind the Rangers being the underdog. It doesn't bother me, and I think the players may even use it as motivation. It's fine. It's a them against the world type thing, and I think they like that. They may not admit that, but I think they do like it. So, yeah, I think there's some disrespect to a point, but I don't know how all this works. I don't really gamble much. My only real gambling is an occasion, like a very, very rarely occasional Texas Hold'em game that a friend may host. I haven't played Texas Hold'em in years, so it's been a while. But I really don't do any gambling otherwise.
I love playing Texas Hold'em whenever I get a chance to do it, and I think the next time I'm doing it will be on my bachelor party in September. But I do have to say this. Absolutely, guys, they're getting disrespected. Like, they're the President's Trophy winner. I understood Carolina being favored a few games in that series. They were favored in 5 of 6 that I know of, and I just don't know if they were favored in Game 5 too. If that's the case, then what's going on? So I got to ask that question. The Rangers, if they're favored tonight, I don't think the Rangers are even favored tonight. So, but then again, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They just want to get as many people to bet 50%, 49 on one of them. That's basically, I think, the way they calculate it, Phil. But I mean,
this is what
you're rewarding the Rangers, though.
Better than we do.
The odds are based off the Rangers playing the Panthers, who Vegas favors. If the Rangers play Dallas or Edmonton, they'd be better. Yeah, but even at that, then the Rangers then Panthers still have to play Dallas, and Dallas is a good team. Dallas is only plus 260. Edmonton is a plus 280, and they're going to beat the.
Surprised Edmonton's not the last place one. That's really the thing for me.
We got to get that thing where you're trying to calculate.
I wonder if it's because they have McDavid and Draisaitl and casuals don't really understand that.
Well, let's go to the big news of the week, guys. We had talked about Craig Berube going to Winnipeg for an interview, but Craig Berube was hired by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Phil, Craig Berube will get the Leafs to an Eastern Conference Finals.
I got to hop off, guys.
Oh, you want to do? Wait, Anthony, what's your answer on this one?
I mean, during when? Like his tenure? I don't know. Like
his tenure
next
as
year?
a coach.
I don't know. Beer. I mean, it's the only way I feel like I can answer it.
Okay.
I mean, he's a good coach. He's a no nonsense guy. Listen, he won the cup with the Blues. He has a lot of experience. I think a lot of players respect him. He's a smart guy. You listened to him on his brief run on TNT before he got hired with the Maple Leafs. He knows what he's talking about. I think he's a good hire for the Maple Leafs, and he's better than Keefe. So yeah, I don't know. I can't. Yeah. I can't say for sure what's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe 3 years from now they do make it, but I'll go beer.
Okay, Anthony, take care.
Later.
Fun.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Guess you're going to me with this now.
Yeah. Technically, I was on you to begin with, but
I'll let Anthony get that in, especially if he was leading. But I don't know. I wonder what happens with Mitch Marner if he's dealt this offseason. I really do. But like Matt's comment here, I think it depends on the moves that are made to the roster. Do they finally not become a top-heavy team anymore and they balance everything out? John Tavares has 1 year left on his deal. Does he get dealt? I mean, I don't know. I think this core is something's just not right with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really ever think that they have a real legitimate number one defenseman. To me, I honestly think that Morgan Riley is probably better served as a second pairing puck mover because he just doesn't seem like the defenseman that could play 25 minutes a game responsibly like that. I mean, they put him with how many partners and just doesn't seem to be the guy. I'm gonna say Beer just because I can't really say shot for sure, but I'm definitely not going to say round. Although I do like the hire.
I like the hire too. It's shot right now. As of right now, it's a shot. They're not set in net. They got to figure out what's going on with that. Could that be the Mitch Marner for Yerzy Saros? We'll see about that. So that's for starters. The cupboard is bare as far as prospects coming up. One way that the 2019 Blues won the Stanley Cup was they had Rob Thomas and a bunch of their like young prospects coming up. I believe Jordan Kyrou was on that team as well. But you also had Jordan Binnington that came out of nowhere that everybody bought into the new system under Berube. Berube was a good coach with the Flyers too. So I'm not taking anything away from Berube. It's just I wonder if the talent is still going to be there over the next 3 years and will Berube take the fall? And the other thing is there's right now there just seems to be a hex over the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know, for the fans that are there, I know everybody else, they want to rip on the Leafs and everything. They're the longest Stanley Cup drought in NHL history now.
Yeah.
I have never hated Toronto. I've never have great city. I've been there numerous times, and I'm probably the next time I'm going, I'm bringing my wife there. So, because she'll be married to me by then. But this is, it just seems like, there's got to be a culture change, Phil, and that's what I'm going to go with on that. And hopefully Berube is enough, because if not, Brendan Shanahan's next. He has to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised he has it right now, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
Phil, reports right before we went on, Sheldon Keefe to New Jersey Devils. What? And I even said on air when we were ripping him a couple weeks ago for that ridiculous comment that Sheldon Keefe, the New Jersey Devils aren't going to hire him. Okay. So now, Sheldon Keefe, he's the right hire for the New Jersey Devils. Let me go get the button for you.
The layup in the not hire, not right aspect.
I guess you're going to go shot on this, right?
Sorry, scratchy throat. But I don't know. I don't think he's a great coach. I just feel like the words he said were not great. I liked his exit interview, his little video that he did from the boat.
Yeah, that was good.
I don't know how much better of an option he is than Lindy Ruff. That's my issue. Like, if Lindy Ruff was a problem, how is Sheldon Keefe any better than him in that regard? Like, he had a team that was a better team, and he couldn't get anything out of them. He could only get a one playoff series win. He couldn't get them, over the hump. I don't know if I see it. I really don't. I can't say a shot for sure, but I'm not. If I'm a Devils fan, I don't know how happy I can be about this. I really don't.
Well, he's got 2 quality centers that are under contract. He's got a hell of another guy in Dawson Mercer. He's got potentially 3 great defensemen that are going to be on the roster, but 2 of them are rookies. So that's going to be, you're going to have to learn to develop them. Oh, hey, you know what? Anthony reminded me about somebody, and hopefully we'll get back to that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, it's big news. I forgot about that one. But here's the thing when it comes to Sheldon Keefe. I didn't really see him develop talent. The talent was all there. They did it themselves. And then they really didn't they kind of really didn't produce So, I mean, is this guy really a good coach? What does he hang his hat on? Is he an offensive coach? Is he a defensive coach? Can he coach lesser talented teams to be better? I mean, basically, he was a third place, second place coach the entire time. I'm not really seeing it, and it's kind of not really being level on that one. We'll do this one. I'll get the one that Anthony just suggested, but also speaking about guys that played in the conference finals plenty of times, Ryan McDonough, Rangers 3 times, Tampa Bay 4 times, if I recall correctly.
What?
That Ryan McDonough played with Tampa Bay in the conference finals. Two of the Stanley Cup teams, once against the Rangers. He played against the Capitals, didn't he? That would be 4 times.
Yeah.
So how about that? But that also kind of complicates their cap. Tampa Bay is going to re-sign Steven Stamkos.
Oh, this is a tough one because now they're going to probably have to maneuver maybe Sheary and Jeannot to get some space to re-sign him. They don't have a lot of space right now, and they still got to fill out a roster otherwise. So if they're at 10 forwards under contract right now, and if they move out Sheary and Jeannot, that'll free up $4 million and change, and then you could give Stamkos, I don't know, 5 maybe million. I don't know. It just seems like he wants to stay there. The team wants him there. I feel like he's going to end up taking some weird discount that nobody's going to see coming. I'm going to go Beer just because I can't say for sure, just because they do have a roster to fill out, but I could see him taking some discount. And again, you got to remember, state tax. It's really nothing there.
Yeah.
And that's a reason why they get all these players to sign these contracts for these AAVs that are single digits instead of double digits. Like Nikita Kucherov, if the Rangers would have had him, that's probably a $12 million contract right there. He's not even making 10 in Tampa. So
and by the way, I still think like things like that need to even out, but they should find a way that teams can't exploit that. But that's a reason to go to Florida. So why not? Otherwise, the Panthers, there are guys that they wouldn't get. I'm gonna go round on this one because there's a tweet that went out. Steven Stamkos said, "We are excited that we're bringing back Ryan McDonough."
Yeah.
And it sounds like he's already got a contract in there. And if that's the case, Phil, how are they getting him under contract? I mean, are you going to trade Anthony Cirelli? Hell no.
That would not be a good move. I don't think that's the best move for their franchise, but you never know with this team. I mean, Yzerman built up this incredible team, and Brisbois has had to just remove piece after piece after piece after piece. So it'll be interesting to see what goes down in southwestern Florida, or southwestern Florida. Sorry.
Well, also phoned in from our illustrious Mr. Anthony Larocco. We wouldn't have had time to get him on there. We probably could have gotten him this one. But he reminded me about this, and I forgot about it because it was last week. But big news, free agent signing of the New York Islanders getting KHL star Maxim Siplikov. Did I get it right, Phil?
Yes, Siplikov, yes.
Siplikov, all right. Good. And I mean, it's going to be an interesting translation of what his game is going to be to the North American game. But we'll go with Siplikov will score 20 goals for the New York Islanders, Phil.
I'm going to say Beer. He wasn't I wanted the Rangers to get him because I thought he'd be some good wing depth. But you got to wonder about these KHL players coming over and how well they're going to adapt to a game that's a quicker game on a smaller ice surface. And I know not all KHL rinks are, Olympic size. there are many KHL teams that play on NHL-sized rinks now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different, but there still is a transition. The game is a little different. It's played not as fast. It's just a different game still. Does he start out with the Islanders? Does he end up in Bridgeport to start? I don't know where they're going with this. I really don't. So it's just he could. I'm not saying it's not possible. You know what? I look at it this way. If I was an Islander fan, he came in and he scored like 15 goals and like 25, 30 points. I'd be happy with that. You know what? It's a free asset. He may turn into something, he may not. But it's 20 goals is a bit, and it depends on what the Islanders want to do. The one thing I will say is that he is the type of player I think that they really lack right now. I think that he's a big body guy that can actually skate and get to the high danger areas and get those gritty goals and find that space, kind of like how Anders Lee was years ago. But 20 goals is a lot to ask for as a rookie. It really is. We don't see a lot of rookie 20-goal seasons anymore. This isn't 1993 or 1996 or the 2006 or 7 rookie class where you have guys coming in scoring 20 goals left and right. So I'm going to say Beer. And State of Survival, he's in his like mid-20s. He's not a spring chicken. But
he's 25.
He's 25? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's not terribly young, but he's right in his like years.
September.
What's that?
26 in September.
Okay. So he's going to be 20. All right. So I had the right age range. But I mean, that's he's physically developed at this point. You wonder how his game translates coming over. Like, how is his skating compared to other NHL players, and how is he going to be able to process the game at a faster speed? These are key things you got to worry about. I do think that they picked up a good player. I think it's a good asset. I think he will be useful. But, I mean, if you're talking about 20 goals in his first year, I'm not sure. It's tough. Could he end up being a 20-goal guy eventually? Yeah, I think so. I think he's talented enough from what I've seen.
We're probably going to have to revisit this question during the summer to get Anthony's input on it, or unless he comes back before we're done, because we got to ask him about this. Anthony talked to former Islander Shane Prince about this.
Yeah.
And had a lengthy conversation with him and had nothing but rave reviews about the guy. 6'2", 189 pounds. You would like to have seen him put on a little bit more weight, especially with that size.
I thought he was closer to like 205 from what I read, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm going with what Hockey Database has got right here.
That could be old.
That would be what?
That could be old. I mean, I think the last time I checked on KHL's English site, he was over 200.
Yeah, and you look at his goal totals going from 4, 5, 9, 4, 10, 31. So is this a guy that just found his game now and he's right there, or is it just a guy that had one really good year? Like we talk about Sam Reinhart of the Panthers with that unbelievable shooting percentage, and you gotta with that, it's almost like buyer beware. But here's the thing: the Islanders tried 8 wingers on that first line. They need to figure out who's going to be that winger that's going to go with them. And if this kid is a perfect fit, it doesn't matter. Islanders might have gotten a steal then, because then you're looking at 80 goals out of that top line, or 70 goals. That's pretty good. All right, guys, that's the end of Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. We gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drinks. Now, more importantly, let's hear what some of your questions are about this series, or any of the series, or anything. Go right ahead. Could he vie for Rookie of the Year? I think he still can, right?
I think with the Makarov rule, I don't think he can.
All right, but I thought it was I thought it
think
was
if you're
what do you call it?
26 or older at the
I thought Michael
start of
Bunting was 26.
What?
I thought Michael Bunting was 26.
No, I don't think Bunting was that old.
Yeah. We'll double check that one.
Bunting is 28. He was a Calder finalist in 2022. But maybe he can then.
I mean, I do have to ask this question. When I know when people kind of say this and go, "Oh, well, that guy is 40 years old or whatever. Of course, he knows more than the 18-year-old kid." Which guy has more of an advantage? The 18-year-old has been playing the North American game, that's graduating into the pros for the first time. Maybe he makes the jump on that, or the pro that's been doing it for long enough, but it's a completely different game from where he came from. Because I mean, it's like the Hideki Matsui versus the kid on the A's. I think that they were trying to say should be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I don't know. It really just kind of depends. It's like it's different. Certain players can come over and do damage. I mean, you talk about. I mean, Artemi Panarin came over and right away. I know he's playing with Patrick Kane, but he was amazing. He was amazing, and then he went to Columbus and he became better. And remember the debate, heading into the 1920 season. Oh, the Devils signed Nikita Gusev. Nikita Gusev is a better player than Artemi Panarin. He was better in the KHL. And then Nikita Gusev was a flop in the NHL.
Yeah,
he just didn't have it. So it's interesting to have these debates and bring these things up, but I will say this, every player is different, and it's not linear. Development is not a linear thing. I know I've said that regarding the Rangers' development and their prospects, but every player is different. They can come over and do different things.
Tommy's saying, Phil, real talk. You have to pick one defenseman to start on the third line. Are you choosing Gustafsson or Mikkola from last year? I think I know your answer.
I wish I could play Gustafsson with Mikkola instead of Trouba. Like, I really do. Like, I really think that Mikkola's not a bad defenseman. I think Florida's asking a little too much of him. If they're asking him to be a top 4 defenseman, I think they might be over their heads. But I just think Mikkola is better fit for playoffs at this stage. Gustafsson may be a little faster and he's maybe better at handling the puck, but Mikkola is a far better defensive defenseman. And right now, you just want a guy that's going to go out there and he's not going to, especially on that third pairing, you want a guy that's going to go out there and not make mistakes and have pucks end up in the back of your net. And Mikkola is decent at that. Gustafsson, not so much. And that's why he bounced around.
I've made no secret about my disdain for Gustafsson. Good for the first 2 months, but then once he gets settled into a role, he's just not as good. He kind of lacks the defensive mental awareness that you need. And if the Rangers end up winning a Stanley Cup with him, he might be one of the worst defensemen to win a Stanley Cup. And then you look back and go, he's got a ring, but Henrik Lundqvist and Jerome McGinley don't. Life isn't fair. However, that being said, I go with Mikkola anyway. I liked his game, what he brought last year. Then you could talk about, I guess you would talk about maybe him and Jones or him and Trouba, and we're going to see what the pairings are tonight. Mikey Red, NFL is, Florida. Ugh. is saying
NFL.
Mikey Red NFL. Mikey Red FL. Okay. Saying, can the Rangers beat the Panthers with Fox playing Hurts?
Ooh, that's a tough one. And that's the thing, and that's why I'm worried about this series, because we don't know what Fox is at right now. We simply don't. And it's going to be tough. Adam Fox he's going to have to be able to withstand a pounding in this series, because if he's not mobile enough, those Mikey Red Zone NFL.
Mikey Red Zone.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, we waited long enough to get this out there. So.
Oh, man, that's amazing.
Here we go.
Yeah.
We'll get a jingle for it soon.
But it's going to be a rough series for Adam Fox. If he can't move, they're going to hit him. They're definitely going to hit him. So you got to worry about how much what he's at, like health wise, and can he start giving you a little more offense, because he hasn't really given them any offense at all. He got 4 points. That's it. So that's very low. Usually Adam Fox is about a point per game defenseman. And I mean, we saw that a couple of years back in the playoffs when he was healthy. He was really good. But hopefully the rest that he just got gives him a little juice, and the offense can come out here.
Him and Ryan Lindgren, they both need that rest.
Yeah.
As far as Fox goes, I think the doctor said,
I just said I need a backiotomy.
I mean, that could have been it. As far as me saying Mikey's name,
You blew it.
So I don't use enough of those. I had to go back to some guys.
Yeah.
It's I think they can win it with Fox. It just makes it a lot harder. And that's just how it feels with that. Hopefully we'll be back here after game 1 tonight. Hopefully that would be something. Rick is saying, sucks the Rangers series is on ESPN. Yeah, I like TNT way better. That's what Tommy's saying. I agree with both you guys. I think the presentation on TNT, and a matter of fact, they're probably going to even air more hockey soon because they just lost the NBA. So, Antonio Brown declared bankruptcy. Who'd have thought that child would, and he is, go through all of his money? Who'd have thought that? The guy that ran on the field half naked to retire at the Meadowlands. Yeah, sure. Who'd have thought that guy? Whoa. Mikey D, interesting stat that I found since 2021 at 5-on-5 in the playoffs. Heedle's expected goals percentage is lower without Kakko, while Kakko is higher without Heedle.
Expected goals don't mean much to me. I've said this time and time again. It's shot location and everything like that, and I get it. It doesn't account for shot quality, who's taking the shot, so on. A lot of key context lack.
Let me be blunt about this one. As Dave is telling me, this one, he's a major improvement over Patrick Nemeth. Anyone is a major improvement over Patrick Nemeth. As Phil wore out the sentence, I would like to fire Patrick Nemeth into the sun, or the dumpster fire going downhill. I'm reliving those moments for him. I mean, why? I just mentioned Adam Henrique and Hugh Jessamine, and just keep on burning his brain at the moment. So State of Survival saying predictions for tonight's game, score. Which players do you think will score for both teams, and why do you think so?
I don't have a prediction score-wise. That's tough. I don't even like to make score-wise predictions. Just go out there and win a game. Just take one shift at a time. One shift, the next shift. Then you focus on the period. You can focus on the period. You can focus on multiple periods. And then you can win the game that way. Just go out there and win it shift by shift.
I'm going to say a fourth liner is going to score tonight. We'll figure out who it's going to be from either team. I always want to put my money on Jimmy Vesey because he gets the empty net time at the end. and he's a little bit better. He's better offensively than Barclay Goodrow, but I'll take a shot in the dark. I'll say it's going to be a 1-goal game. Panthers usually don't start game 1 that well. I'll go Rangers 4-2. 1-goal game with an empty net.
Maybe. I mean, I'll take it, but we'll see.
First, it's hard to say with any of these because this series is unpredictable.
Completely.
Every time, Phil, I looked up a stat. There was another stat to make me go. Oh, by the way, everybody, this is the first broadcast I have with a full mouth of teeth because I just got a replacement right over here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I had a tooth that was it was not a good tooth. State of Survival is asking which memorabilia, Rangers memorabilia would be your holy grail to own. Phil, I'm going to make a prediction on yours. And let me see if it's right behind me. It's not behind me right now, but I would say Wayne Gretzky's stick from his final game.
It's got to be up there. I mean, Wayne Gretzky signed Canada Cup 87 jersey.
But for Rangers memorabilia.
Oh, yeah. Maybe the jersey from maybe one of the jerseys from the game. I don't know. I mean, probably something from Gretz. I mean, I have a Messier signed plaque of the Daily 4 June 15th, 1994 news blow up in my house. I don't know how much that's worth. I'd probably go get it appraised, but it's got a Steiner certificate on the back of it for authenticity. So I know it's good. I don't know.
Let's see. I got my Brian Leach jersey that after Gartner, he officially became my favorite player of all time after the 94 playoffs. So I got to go with him. I mean, one of the best ones I got is up here. It's the Mike Ruzioni starting lineup figure that I have. This picture, that's me and Phil at the All-Star game. That's another great one. Guys, there's a lot of great memorabilia. Wow. And you don't want to just say the obvious one. You don't want a puck from Game 7 of June 14th, 1994. You don't want to go to the opposite end and go, I would love to have Marc Messier's cup from that night. No, ew. Oh.
Christ, Kreider.
Hallmark warrants is a game-worn Kreider toga. Yeah, you know what? Why not?
God.
By the way, what a great picture of him cleaning up hats off his front lawn.
I mean, it's funny because they asked Jacob Trouba about it, and Trouba was like, I can't believe he did that. He's like, I thought he would have someone come and, do that for him. And then he goes, he just put on his headphones and cleaned them up. He's like, weird. It's funny.
We were talking about like obscure moments. I think it was Matt on Ranger Central that put up the video of Tikkanen's OT winner to clinch the series the last time these two teams played in 97. Yeah. The better one to me still has got to be the camera. It's got to be the camera
from Tikkanen's overtime winner. Oh, man.
Tikkanen was so insistent about it. He's so insistent. He's going, it went in. They blew the whistle. Davidson is downplaying it on the broadcast. It didn't.
All they had to do was take one look, and they figured it out. And it took them like 20 minutes to figure out what happened, even though it was clear as day that it went right in, hit the friggin' camera. And
you see the camera jolt.
Yeah, you see the camera jolt. Like, how do you not call that a goal immediately?
Firestorm saying Hedl was a black hole a couple years back. He's a great shooting winger, but not as a center. If he does well on the wing, then we might see more goals from him.
I'd have to highly disagree with that. That kid line was awesome a couple of years back.
Yeah.
And then Hedl had a big breakout year last year. I mean, I don't know. I really don't understand where you're coming from that one. I'm sorry.
Here's Tommy asking this question: which team would be ballsy enough to offer sheet Seth Jarvis? It really happens, but some teams
Not
might
going
be
to
stupid.
happen. Not after Montreal offered cheated Sebastian Aho, and they went, and Carolina was petty enough to go give a just ridiculously stupid offer sheet for Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
Yeah.
Montreal made the right move by letting Kotkaniemi go because he's been nothing short of a bust. But I can't see how you would be crazy enough to deal with Carolina and try to see if you could offer sheet them after that incident.
I don't think offer sheets happen because you got to remember your guy is going to be available at some point. If you're going to do it, you better do it. There's the only reason why there's been, I think, well, if I recall correctly, the salary cap era, the only successful offer sheet was Dustin Penner.
Yeah, and then he ended up going from Anaheim to Edmonton, and that ended up not working out for them.
Yeah.
Because they Edmonton also offer sheeted Thomas Vanek that offseason, and that one was matched.
And I mean, you could do that, but then the consequences of that are just worse. Like Montreal offering Sebastian Aho, what was it, $8.75 million?
That was just such a steal of a contract. They actually helped Carolina out.
Yeah. Don Waddell said, if I recall correctly, I thought I was going to have to spend all summer negotiating a contract. Now I could just wait 7 days and do that. And he waited 7 days to match the offer sheet. Just to speaking about petty. So that's one thing that goes with that. Togaban is scoring tonight. That's what Evan is saying. Skate sandals need to be activated tonight. Dave, no, I don't. My last game was at Dix Hills on Sunday, which thank you to my captain Dave Miller for saying I had a great game, but I didn't produce a point. And the one thing I can say is I was a -1 in a 9-4 loss. I think we had, so wasn't that great.
I see a comment in the chat that Sebastian Aho is a free agent. No, he's not. His
No, they
extension
signed him last year.
He has a $9.75 million extension that starts next year and runs all the way until 2031-32. He has a no movement clause throughout, and in the final year of the deal, he has a 15-team no trade list.
Firestorm's got a good one for her.
Oh, he's talking about the Isles. Aho, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, but I didn't think about it.
His name is now Sebi Aho. So there you go. Anthony, hey, welcome back. Good thing we got you because we're gonna have to ask you a question. First, Firestorm was saying, do you want that puck that snuck underneath Derek Stepan's visor? It was Dan Girardi's. And you know what the funny thing is? I'm one person that's gonna say this. Yeah, because that happened to me in a juniors game. Guy chipped the puck. We were on an ice call. I beat him, and he chipped the puck up and went underneath my cage, and it was just sitting there in front of my eye. I didn't even notice. Anthony, Maxim Siplikov, can you fill in some blanks for us?
Yeah, so I actually reached out to Shane Prince because Shane Prince played with Siplikov for Moscow Spartak, who were their team in the KHL. And I was talking to him for a little bit, and he said that Siplikov he got a real chance to play some more meaningful minutes when the new coaching staff came on, Zhamnov and Kovalev, and he said once that happened, he really took off. He figured out how to score from all areas. He's a big body. He goes to the net. He said he's a good kid, and he always said that he thought an NHL team should sign him, and he thinks that he can make a good transition to the NHL. So we'll see how it pans out. But for the Islanders, for a team that doesn't have the deepest prospect system, anytime you could add a 25-year-old who has some potential, it's a free asset. It can't hurt. It's a 1-year ELC. Yeah, the worst thing that happens is he ends up being like a Shipachyov as opposed to Kuzmenko, and he kind of goes
Oh,
by the way.
Shipachenko is even worse. That was a bad situation. I don't think he'll do that.
So I think he's worth a look. See what he's got, and I think they're going to give him every opportunity to make the team. And hopefully he could be that kind of like a diamond in the rough, because that would really go a long way for the long-term outlook of their franchise if they can hit on one of these guys. So we'll see what happens. But the thing is that there was 12 teams interested in him. The fact that he picked the Islanders, I mean, I don't know if that's because of the Russians, that the contingent they have on the team of Varlamov, Sorokin, Romanov make him feel a little bit comfortable. But it was nice to see. So we'll see how it pans out.
I would say that's probably a big factor. You want to have a little bit more familiarity with people, and sure, why not?
Yeah. That's what I was saying before. Like, it's really tough to kind of gauge these types of things, because we all thought, like, remember how the start of the 2019 season before that, the debate was, oh, well, Gusev is going to be better than Panarin because Gusev put up better numbers in the K. No, Gusev ended up being a flop. You never know what's going to happen with a guy like this. I do think that he can come up and give them some offense. Just to expect a 20-goal season right off the bat might be tough. But then again, you never know. What if a guy just comes and fits in the right time? Like, I'll bring up 2 examples of Russian players that came in and nobody had any idea that they were going to be as good as they were and get to the roles that they did as quickly as they did. Nikolai Borshevsky in Toronto in 92-93.
Mm-hmm.
And same year, Dmitry Karvoltanov in Boston. And
I always mispronounce his name.
Yeah, Karvoltanov, Oates, and Juneau were one of the top scoring lines in the entire NHL that year, with Oates having almost 150 points. Juneau is a 100-point rookie. Cam Neely missed all that season. I think it was like a goal a game. I think he had like 11 goals and 18 points in like 11 games. And Karvoltanov stepped in on that line. And you know what? Sometimes it's the right fit, right time. You never know.
And it's also a matter of the player. He's just got to fit. That's got to be the usage on him. You got to have a coach that believes in him. And I think if it was last year, I don't think he gets that opportunity under Lambert. I think he gets the opportunity under Wah. Wah's going to do that. But hey,
Wah to me seems like he likes to give the younger guys a shot, and I think he wants to play with a little more pace and offense, like he did with Colorado. I just really wonder what happens with Siplikov there and like where he ends up. Like it just, to me, the big thing is going to be his skating. Can he skate and process the game at this pace, at this level? It's a different ballgame.
Yeah. By the way, to answer Matt's comment, a Mark Williams signed Big Apple hockey jersey, I would probably devalue it. And it has not much value to begin with as it is.
I got, so Leo asked, does Kakko finally start to produce? For me, from what I've watched, it seems like Kakko produces better when Heedle's in the lineup. When that kid line was together, they were all pretty good. So I do think that Lafreniere wasn't there yet, but they all played pretty well together. So I think that could help. And then the other question is do the Rangers go after Natchez? Nah.
No.
I don't see it. I don't see how they do it.
There's no way that they're going to trade him.
I think he's gone from Carolina, though. I think they're done with him, and I think they're going to focus their efforts on trying to re-sign Jake Gensel. And if they do that, the question is, do they have to give Jake Gensel $10 to $11 million to keep him? And if they do, how are they going to be able to keep him and then all the other players that they have to re-sign to that roster? Because it feels like 60% of that roster is a UFA this offseason.
Just answering a couple quick questions. Chris G, very low level juniors, done anything. It's just junior C. And Matt, the puck went underneath my cage and sat right here. And the guy punched me in the face, and that's how he jarred loose the puck. By the way, shout out to Applecore and Marty Hughes right there. Anthony, what would be your piece of memorabilia you would want for the New York Islanders?
Piece of memorabilia?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Maybe one you don't have. Even if one you have, go ahead. But what would be your favorite piece?
I would like a game used stick from Mario Lemieux. I think that
What
would
about
be
Islanders?
Well, I know he said Islander, but I was just it doesn't matter to me. I mean, Islanders. It's for me that would be an ultimate piece.
Yeah, you got to meet him, guy.
I did. Yep, that was awesome.
Mike Sullivan is saying right here, if the Rangers are fortunate enough to win the cup, does that mean that the fans would never accept Kreider ever getting traded? No, I think fans have learned to accept that, and especially for Ranger fans. Alexei Kovalev was traded. Brian Leetch was traded. Adam Graves was traded. There's only two players the Rangers never traded that were major stars for them: Marc Messier and Ron Gilbert. One of them played his entire career at the Rangers. One of them left and came back. So,
Yeah.
How do I pronounce that guy? Was it
Shipachyov.
Chipachov?
But that's not actually spelled correctly. It's spelled
with an S.
Lucid saying he's heading to the casino right now to put bets down. Hey, good luck, man. Anthony, you have any bets tonight?
Bets? No, I don't.
Yeah. I think I took Rangers money line, Brandon Montour over on shots, and Igor Shesterkin over 30 saves.
I bet you did Panama Red.
Panama Red. Okay.
Well, all right. Well, these were UFA things, right, Phil? Richter being traded was he went to Nashville. Was there a similar thing with Messier?
What?
Is that Marc Messier and Mike Richter traded? Mike Richter.
They were, but they were rights trades.
Yeah.
Messier's,
here's one for you, Anthony.
Messier's got Callahan, I believe.
Did the Islanders move on from Wallstrom this season?
He's an RFA this year. I think you saw the writing on the wall for him this past season where he barely played the second half. I think honestly, I know Lou doesn't like to lose assets for nothing, but I wouldn't be surprised if they actually don't even qualify him and he becomes a UFA and they lose him for nothing. Because I mean, right now, if you trade him, it would be trading his RFA rights. How much value does he have? I mean, I suppose he could be a throw-in, but I'm going to say right now, I would say there's a less than 5% chance Wallstrom's back. That's just my take. I think he's done.
I agree with you. I mean, you and I were at that draft, and we both had high hopes for him. I wanted the Rangers to nab him there. Where do you think it really, really went wrong, Anthony?
It's a good question because I thought the year they played Pittsburgh in round one was a 2021.
2021.
Yeah, he actually had a good year that year. I think that was the year he had 13 goals or so. It looked like he was going to become maybe a nice secondary piece. And he got hurt in that series. He didn't come back, and then the following year he tore his ACL. So I think it kind of unraveled there because the Wallstrom that he was that season and that playoffs is gone. He hasn't been anywhere near the same type of player. You can see it in his confidence and the way he plays. So that's where I kind of see where it kind of unraveled. But it's just unfortunate because the guy has such a good wrist shot and release. He just wasn't able to find a way to, put it together. And, listen, guys like this, sometimes I'm not going to write him off totally. I think players sometimes need a fresh start. And, maybe he goes somewhere under a new regime and he gets more of a chance. And, maybe he can kind of salvage a career here. But I would say his time on the island is certainly done.
Which is kind of sad because at times, Anthony, it looked like he was going to take off. And then at times you're like, well, why aren't they playing him? And it just never seemed there could be a consistent spot for him.
I blame Barry Trotz partially for that. I really do. And I get it. Like, you want your players to be well-rounded and defensively responsible. But, like, the adage I always go back to is the one where I talk about Modano and Yzerman before Hitchcock and Bowman came along.
Yeah.
They were considered one-way, softer players. They were offensive stars. Let them develop their offense first. Then add that defense to their game. Like, why do you – to me, I don't get why coaches try to take away from players' strengths and make sure that they're NHL players. Like just develop their strengths first and make sure that they're confident NHL players. And then you can teach them that stuff afterwards.
Yeah, but the contrary opinion to that, you could say, would be how Torts treated Chris Kreider. Yeah, he was in and out of the lineup all the time. He was trying to say, I remember what Torts said back then, and I didn't like it, but I understood it. He needs to go through the process. He needs to go through the process. Because they kind of used him in emergency, and he fit, and they had lightning in a bottle in the 2012 playoffs. 2013, he didn't play that much, and they were trying.
He was also hurt. He had an ankle injury that he was dealing with that year.
Yeah, but then he ends up having a good playoff again. Shocking. And then he's out of town, has the hat trick against Vancouver under Vigneault, and puts in a pretty good season. Doesn't get the 30, but didn't. Well, again, they got the offense, Dave, but
no, they had the offense. So Yzerman and Modano were criticized for being one-way offensive players that weren't going to ever win because of the fact that they didn't want to commit to being all-around players. And then Hitchcock and Bowman came along, respectively, and they changed that. And Yzerman won 2 cups in a row. He won 3 with Bowman. I mean, he wasn't there for the 4th one that Detroit won in 2008 with Datsuk and Zetterberg and them. But, I mean, that's the problem. Like Tom is saying here. Like, you try to turn a player into a defensive player, you're taking away from his strengths. Look at what Laviolette did with Alexis Lafreniere. Yes, that line is not great defensively. They're not. You can hem them in their own zone. Panarin's not a good defensive player. Lafreniere's not a good defensive player. Trocheck is the one good defensive player on that line. He has to be. He's the center. But Lafreniere has really arrived because they've given him the freedom to just go out there, play his game, gain some confidence, play to his strengths, and then he can add all that other stuff as he goes.
I still maintain that there was never a plan for Kakko and Lafreniere. And that's part of the problem that I have still on it right now. Well,
right.
And I still think that was part of the problem. But I look at this, and you talked about it when we first started doing these, Phil, that the game in Calgary, Kakko scores, takes a bad penalty, and Quinn pulls him off a power play 1.
It's terrible. You don't do that.
Yeah. But, I mean, everybody that wants to say a bunch of things, Kaapo Kakko is one of the worst defensive players in NHL history in his first season. He then quickly became a much better one. Do you know, and Phil, I know expected goal stats, whatever. It's that's sort of like war for me. Wins above replacement, like an imaginary person. We're going to use this one for a minute. Do you know what line right now leads the playoff in expected goals against? The Kakko, Wenberg, Cooley line.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that post.
And I'm like, and you know what? You're like, it's unbelievable. But again, a lot of fans still like imagine Kakko blowing up and being a 30-goal scorer. And you know what? Who knows what's going to happen with the rest of his career? The guy's got size and he's got some skill. But right now, as a defensive player, on a third line player on a team challenging for the Stanley Cup, I'll take that in a heartbeat. Now, what State of Survival is also saying right here, Laff had to develop himself while playing in the NHL Rangers really need to overhaul the defense.
And they did, and that's really what it comes down to is they made some major changes in their developmental system, and even with Gallant's crew is gone. I mean, so now you brought in Housley, you brought in Pekka, you brought in Muse. Christian Humura is now their new skills and developmental coach. It was Marc Ciaccio for years, and listen, I don't know exactly what Marc Ciaccio does, but their record was really with prospects and developing them was not good with him there. Christian Humura comes along, and now all of a sudden you're seeing the best out of Lafreniere. To me, I do think it has something to do with the development, and I think you're right. I think they lacked a true vision for what they wanted to do with the two of them. I think it was, these guys are so good since they're top 2 picks that they're going to just be able to go out there and put up Calder-type numbers. We're not going to have to worry about anything. It's plug and play. That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how it works. And I think furthermore, kind of what Everest is saying right here, is it fair to say Kakko was not going to live up to his draft status and he's a bottom 6 guy? I don't know if that's fair yet. I don't know if that's fair. I think it's looking more likely. I would put probably a 70% chance on that because, again, I keep on comparing him and throwing this name out there, but Valeri Nichushkin, who,
yeah, that's the one that I threw out there. If he can become that, then you're so happy with a second overall player being a 20 plus, maybe 30 goal, 60 point defensive winger. Okay, cool, awesome, I'll take that.
Yeah, and it's going to be, like I said, there's a lot of interesting things in there. Now, Tommy kind of said this. Chuck Knobloch is in the Final Four. Not Chuck Knobloch, Jesus. Chris Knobloch. I wrote his name several times, so give me a break.
Oh, Mark.
So Chris Knobloch, but Phil, realistically speaking, the Rangers aren't here with Chris Knobloch this year, right?
No, I don't think so. I think Knobloch went to a team that has 2 of the top 4 best players in the NHL. And he found McDavid kind of like a wounded animal. And then McDavid got healthy. And then he started and went off. He just absolutely went off. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to discredit what Chris Knobloch is doing. But I don't think he does this with the Rangers. I think the Rangers needed a different type of coach. Edmonton needed what he was. Edmonton needed somebody that would maybe defer to McDavid a little bit, kind of like how LeBron with the Cavaliers and Tyronn Lue and all that other stuff. But I don't see Knobloch doing that with the Rangers. I don't. And if you're going to tell me that he would have done that, I mean, I have some questions. I do.
I think the circumstances were right for him, and I am not discrediting Edmonton. But if you look at the 4 teams that are in this, that are in these finals, the Washington Capitals would be the worst team any of them faced, and they were statistically and points wise. But after that, LA, sorry, they were going to make short work of LA. We knew that. And Vancouver, sans Pettersson being productive, they're down to their 3rd string goalie. Like, can you actually look at the Edmonton thing and go, this team, they're ready to go make the Stanley Cup Finals right now? I think they're just going to be a sacrificial lamb. And again, it irritates me a little bit because Connor McDavid needs to be in a Stanley Cup Final. Everybody needs to see this guy in a Stanley Cup Final. And furthermore, if it's not Connor McDavid, why aren't we talking about Leon Draisaitl in the Stanley Cup Final? But nonetheless, Phil, I think Knobloch still did a good job. I still think one day he'll end up coaching the Rangers because coaches are hired to be fired and they'll move around.
Yeah, you never know.
Hey, I never thought they'd get Laviolette to coach the Rangers after 2014, but then here he is. So good for them on that one. Willie was saying this one. Well, what if Kako, Wenberg, and Hedel end up reinvigorating the kid line era circa 2022 postseason?
Then they can win it all.
If that's the case, if that line is an offensive line, they're winning at everything.
They could, and I won't say definitely, but they could if that line gets going.
I mean,
I'll tell you right now, I don't think Edmonton's beating Dallas. And if the Rangers end up winning this series and they face Dallas, they're going to face probably the deepest team in the NHL, 4 lines deep. Their defense, their third pairing is suspect unless they get Yanni Hakanpää back. But,
yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting one. I think Carolina says no to this, but I tell you right now, it would be tempting to get a guy like Marty Natchez for
a guy that they should have had in the draft the year before.
2 years before.
2 years before? Sorry, 2 years before. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the same round as Hedel.
Yeah, they took him after they took Hedel after him, but they took Anderson. Anderson is still just such a bad draft pick. I don't understand what they were thinking.
Yeah, Anthony is posting this in the chat, but I saw that, and I just think with the way that he's kind of played sporadically throughout these playoffs, his playoffs have been just such bad numbers. You know what? I think it would be a little easier for the Rangers to take the loss on Kako if they were getting a young player like this back in return. Because even if he goes away and develops into that Nichushkin-like or better player that we're hoping for, Marty Natchez is still a really good young offensive player that has some room to grow. So you could at least say, you know what, we got a good young asset back for him. If they would have dealt him for Jake Gensel and Jake Gensel didn't re-sign, or they weren't able to re-sign him and they didn't win, then that looks like a total loss. Then you're questioning Chris Drury's asset management, and Chris Drury's possibly gone.
I question now. By the way, I agree that's possible right here, Anthony. But I think one thing I hesitate with Oilers. I don't want to give up much for Oilers. I am not like this health over the course of his
I don't see it. Oilers is significantly older, and he is constantly hurt.
And hell of a player. I take him on my team in a heartbeat, but I don't like his health.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of he's 28 years old. That's a big age gap between him and Natchez. And not only that, but Natchez has Natchez is RFA. After this year, Oilers is a UFA, and he's going to be 29. I don't see how that deal works for Carolina. Zegras would be an interesting one because there's been, ever since Pat Verbeek did not want to give him that contract and his play kind of fell off this year a little bit, there's been words around Trevor Zegras for a while. Marty Natchez might fit the profile of what they're looking for a little more than Trevor Zegras.
I question this one on what to do with Trevor Zegras, because you're talking about a guy who's got all the talent in the world, Phil. But, I mean, is he a winning player yet? I think he's still in that. I could bring this offense. I could do that Michigan pass. I could do this. Chances are we are going to get Sonny Milano at this point, I think, because I do know people that are close to him. But it's like one of those things, Phil. I'm just like, and he's been a winning player at the junior level. I just don't see it at the NHL level yet.
Yeah, I don't know about him. I really don't. I don't. He's just one of those guys where I'm just like, talent, but does he have that next gear to be a winner? I don't know. I really don't.
Which is funny because a lot of guys in the chat, they're talking about Kravtsov right now and Vitaly Kravtsov. And Vitaly Kravtsov, I'm not sure if he was even coachable. He definitely had the ego. Definitely thought he was the greatest thing ever.
Cares.
But he also should have been a Ranger. He should have been a Ranger in Kakko's first year.
I think they mishandled him, but he's another guy that just as time progressed, it was clear as day that he expected just a shot. And I mean, Marc is always a guy I could see the Rangers going after if they wanted to add a free agent. I could. I don't know if they'll be able to afford him, but to me, he just makes a ton of sense.
I agree with you on that one, Anthony. That's a hell of a you got the reason why with Gensel is I think Gensel is probably the best free agent on the market.
Yeah. His deal is going to set the market, and all the dominoes will fall afterwards. You'll see everything go around him.
And the term is what the hard part is.
The term. Well, the term's going to be 7 years. He's getting a 7-year deal wherever he signs, unless him and his agent misplay the market badly, and he ends up, SOL in a game of musical chairs. Then I don't see how he doesn't set the market.
I think this is about Zegras. He seems like a guy that would disappear in the playoffs.
Zegras.
Yeah,
I would agree.
How about Mason McTavish? Tommy is asking. I got to go with. I don't think.
I think Mason McTavish is going to be a guy that wins. He's just
exactly. And Anthony, probably about 3-4 years. And not to use my own name as a pun right here, mark my words. The guy that needs to watch that contract closely is Brock Nelson, because he's going to be in a similar situation minus the Conn Smythe.
Yeah.
All right, guys, it is 7:30 right now. I think we're going to call it a night right here.
Yeah.
So we'll get a couple questions.
I got a phone call I have to make. Pretty important.
All right, well, we'll just call it all right here. Guys, thanks for joining us. Whole lot of stuff today. Both teams season series previews, and there was just a lot that we have going. Anthony right now is I guess still grilling right now. I always make it laugh and say a joke. Men are like, I don't feel like the kitchen, and then you throw them in front of a grill outside. Yeah, all right, I can grill anytime. But let's see if there's a post-game event tonight, or depending on how late the game finishes up. I do have a 9:00 tee time in Medford tomorrow. So
boo-hoo. You have to get up for golf in the morning. I wish I was getting up for golf in the morning and not work.
Yeah, well, it's all there. You just see my golf game, and I gotta make sure that I'm not slamming my clubs anymore. All right, Phil. Everybody, take it easy. Enjoy game one. At least our pregame show is a hell of a lot better than what we're going to be watching on ESPN. I can guarantee that one. Sync up your radios and listen to Sam Rosen call the game instead of hearing Sean McDonough. Guys, talk to you later. Have a good one.
Take care, everybody.